Good afternoon and welcome to Willinga for 2025. My name is Glenn Morgan. I'll be one of our hosts of the afternoon World Championship Ringer Western Gold Buckle Championship. And ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the management and staff, I'd like to welcome you here to our seventh annual competition, and a very, very special thanks to the Ringers Western, as they are our major sponsors. To James and Emma Solano, we thank you very, very much for your continued support, your generosity, and of course the sponsorship that enables us to run this event, Australia's richest campdrafting competition. And of course it is an absolute pleasure to be back here at Willinga once again. I'd also like to thank our hosts here this weekend for the world-class venue that has once again been provided. Of course, with me here in the main arena, we have Jeanette Snow, son Stephen, and the entire Snow family. How about a big round of applause from ladies and gentlemen? Well, just for a little update and briefing on our competition thus far, as this was a vision of the late Mr. Terry Snow to run this concept to improve the standard and quality of camp drafting Australia-wide. His legacy and his memories of this event will live on for many, many years. We started on Saturday morning, I should say on Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning, it's been a big, long week of competition. We started with 348 competitors, the first round of the Ringers Gold Buckle Championship. Thursday morning, 8 o'clock once again, all competitors, 348 once again, fronted our judges. This year, we took through to the semi-final 121 double scores in the competition. They are competing now for $238,000 in prize money. The winner this afternoon, $100,000 in prize money. Ladies and gentlemen, it is certainly the event that everyone wants to be involved in. From the progressive semi-final round here on Friday, we come back with 32 competitors that scored more than 88 points and above. They come back, the 32 contestants, and this will, ladies and gentlemen, without any doubt in my mind, it has brought contestants from Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria. So far, we have had 6 champion events. It has been won by 3 individual families, and all 3 of those families are represented in our final here this afternoon. Of course, the Comiskey family, the Hiscock family, and of course Matt Holtz. They have won all 6 previous rounds, and their families are heavily involved in those riders in this final this afternoon. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is time that we introduce to you this afternoon the stars of our Ringers Gold Buckle Championship for 2025, the final 32 contestants. One of these will be the $100,000 winner in this arena in a little over 1 hour's time. Ladies and gentlemen, make them feel very proud and very special here at Willinga for 2025. As per their draw this afternoon, let's welcome back Hugh Miles riding More Spoonful, Ben Rossiter, Benediction, Troy Palmer, Dream, David Reeder, Coolum Recon, Cameron Jones, Jats Bar Blackjack, Mick Southern, Hostess, Evan Hiscock, Cartel, Andrew Turvey, Cats and Roses, Hugh Miles, Summer Rain, Troy Palmer, Blue Tunes, Catherine Hengsberger, Too Beneficial, Wyatt Young, Cantor Park, Kid You Not, Hugh Miles, Vintage Whiskey, Tim Hollis, Adios Envy, Dean Rogers, Even Con, Pete Comiskey, Time Checks, Ben Rossiter, KB Exclusive Oak, Andrew Turvey, Knight's Destiny Playgirl, Evan Hiscock with Ninx, Troy Palmer, Binya Convoy, Hugh Miles, Tilly, David Andrews, Conspiracy, Luke Cheney, Precious, Hugh Miles, Smart and Spicy, Troy Palmer, Look Smart in Blue, John Templeton, Diva, Pete Comiskey, Nashville, Roy L. Destiny, Wyatt Young with Nashville Nightmare, Matt Holtz, Con Ellen, Sam Campbell, Banshee Conai, Tim Honnis, Dulcara Victoria, and the 32nd competitor David Murphy with Clear Choice Contiki. Ladies and gentlemen, they're led out by our very lovely Willinga staff, Mackenzie Pryor and Grace Davidson. A big round of applause for each of our finalists and, of course, our very special guests here this afternoon. I'd also like to express our gratitude and special thanks to the two official judges that have done an amazing job over the qualifying rounds. Mr. Joe Payne and Mr. Jonathan McDonald have certainly put a touch of class to our competition this year. Well, ladies and gentlemen, at this very special and fitting time here in the Willinga Arena, I'd like to hand the microphone over to Terry Snow's son, Stephen Byron, to address our official opening. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Willinga Park and the championship final for the Ringers Western Gold Buckle. You know, Terry, this is the 7th Gold Buckle event here, but in fact, it was 2012 when he first built the first Campdraft arena. It was the first event venue that he built, and really it started because Terry bought a couple of stock horses and started riding again and went on a long ride with his friend Peter Cochran and Stephen Austin. But what he did was what he did in everything that he sought to do, which was to make it better for the competitors, to have the very best event and to make the venue better. And one day he worked out we needed a grandstand, and then all of the action is in the camp. And so he put a grandstand over the top of the camp. And so I think there were 4 iterations of building this thing. And of course, he went on to build the rest of Willinga Park. That is a tribute to his legacy of excellence. And in having all of you here, what he would say to you is, so damn good to have you here and be part of it and amongst it. But take your time to look around, see that little bit of excellence that amazes you, and take it home with you. Take a bit of excellence home, and as he tried to do every day, be a little better. He loved every day being a little better. I'd like to congratulate and thank the competition manager, Lauren Newton. Yet again this year there have been some very significant changes with the novice and the maiden and a number of other aspects of the whole few days for the championship, and they've been well received by the competitors. I'd like to thank our judges, Jonathan McDonald and Joe Payne, and we've got our commentators, Glenn Morgan, Leslie Denian and Karen Butters, who do a fantastic job. Can I congratulate the Willinga Park crew? They've got all of Terry's passion and they keep this place in absolutely tip-top nick. I've got to say it looks even better than it did 12 months ago, and that's a tribute to you. So on behalf of Mum and the family, good luck to all of you competitors. Only one of you can win today. Enjoy it and do your best. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Stephen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, at this very special moment here at Willinga, if I could please ask everyone to stand for a few short moments, and gentlemen, remove your hats, as I'll call on the very lovely Alex Clark to perform her rendition of our very own and proud Australian national anthem. Thank you, Alex.
To Bawley Point and welcome to Willinga Park. Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free, with golden soil above the toil. Our home is kept by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, every stage, there's Australia fair. Enjoy box springs and let us sing. There's Australia fair. Beneath our radiant Southern Cross, with soil we thoughts in hair. to make this commonwealth of us renowned of all the lands. For those who come across the seas, we found this place to share. With courage let us all combine to advance Australia fair. Enjoy for strange and let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Well, thank you, Alex, and the beautiful vocals echoed through the Valley of Willinga as we get set for Australia's richest camp drafting competition. Well, ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax, and I can promise you one thing for sure and for certain. You are about to witness history here tonight, because we've got the lineup like never before of Australia's greatest horsemen and horsewomen that'll compete for the $238,000 in prize money. Well, as our contestants are led out by our Willinga staff, Mackenzie Pryor and Grace Davidson, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to put your hands together for each and every one of our competitors. What a lineup. I know Jeanette does want to take a photo. Please hold your own. But this is one of those events that is certainly special in history, it's special in time. And we'll have those girls on their way. Well, ladies and gentlemen, come on, one more big round of applause for each and every one of our very, very worthy finalists here at the Willinga Ringers Western Gold Buckle Championship round. It is Super Saturday here at Bawley Point and at Willinga Park. It is going to be something very, very special. Australia's richest camp drafting competition.
Okay, our judges have cracked the whip. We are underway. First competitor in is Hugh Miles with More Spoonful. Standing by number 2, Ben Rossiter, number 3, Troy Palmer, 4, David Reeder, and 5, Cameron Jones. So we're underway in the Willinga Park Ringers Western Gold Buckle Open Camp Draft for 2025.
Well, Leslie, it's certainly an exciting part of the afternoon. Hugh Miles, More Spoonful. This horse has been nominated by Peter Doonan. Hugh Miles makes his home on the eastern side of Tamworth. He's what we call a multi-talented horseman, competes in the camp drafting at the highest level and at the NCHA. We'll see him perform in a couple of weeks there in Tamworth at the Big Futurity. Is very, very unique. The Willinga cattle are back in competition. Selected his first beast, and he will be set to take it to the camp, do his best throughout the course of this competition.
And Glenn, I just noticed Hugh Miles has 4 horses in this competition this afternoon. That's no mean feat, is it?
Well, it's a full credit to him and his team here and at back home. Of course, they work tiresomely. Remember, we have got a $100,000 winner check on the line, so there's a little more added pressure here this afternoon, but to Hugh, his horses, what I like about this, Leslie, is the fact they're well presented, well prepared. He really puts the polish on him, but unfortunately here today, ladies and gentlemen, he does deserve a round of applause. He's had such a big week. He came into this final with 90.5 as the first contestant out riding More Spoonful.
So we have a score through for Hugh Miles and More Spoonful, cut out of 21. Had a 90.5 previously, grand total of 111.5, 111.5 for Hugh Miles and More Spoonful. We move down now to competitor number 2, Ben Rossiter with Benediction. He comes into this round with an 88 in the first round.
Yeah, well, this little horse is actually owned. Benediction is owned by the Warden Land and Cattle Company. Ben Rossiter's already had a very successful weekend here. Of course, the entire family here this weekend supporting Ben throughout his competition at Willinga. And that little horse, Benediction, really working hard at that second ped, trying to keep it as close as he possibly can. We're looking for our first full score in this round of the competition. Crossing over, the gate's been set, pressure's on. Can he do it? Can he do it? What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? You tell me. That was Ben Rossiter with Benediction. Took a risk, took the punt, and boy, oh boy, we'll wait for those scores to come through.
So we do have a score for Ben Rossiter and Benediction, cut out 22, horsework 58.5, course 4. That's a total of 84.5 with his previous round of 88. Gives a grand score of 172.5, 172.5. Next competitor is number 3, Troy Palmer and Dream. Stand by number 4, David Reeder and Coolum Recon.
Well, Troy Palmer is another guy that's been a runner-up championship winner of this event. Troy has won a total of 26 ABCRA horse and rider totals throughout his career. I remember it was back in 2017 he won the Warwick Gold Cup there in Queensland. But yet it's been elusive, this championship here at Willinga. He came into the final with a first round score of 89, riding Nandai Destiny's Dream for Troy Palmer. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't get much neater. He gets the job done here as our third competitor, representing the Field family. Little horse that is owned by the Field family, and Troy Palmer riding Dream.
And we have a score through for Troy Palmer and Dream. Cut out 22, horsework 61.5, course 4 for a total of 87.5 with a previous round of 89. Gives a total score of 176.5, 176.5 for Troy Palmer and Dream. We move down now to Baramba competitor number 4, David Reeder with Coolum Recon. Comes into this round with a first round score of 85.5. Standing by number 5, Cameron Jones, Jats Bar Blackjack.
Well, this is another one of those horses that's by that famous world-renowned con man out of a Coolum Dream mare. has been an open horse for several years, and David Reader has been ultra consistent through the qualifying rounds. Comes into the event with an 88.5 in this division, making every post a winner at this point of time. At this stage, we see Troy Palmer has taken the early lead with a 176.5. But David Reader wants to put his grip on that trophy. He's pushing hard. Well, momentum just slipped. Did you notice that there, Leslie, just towards that gate? The horse lost his footing momentarily.
I did see that, Glenn, and I know there was a lot of try in there. David came here and judged last year, and so he knows how the course works, and he was doing his very, very best. We have a score for David Reader and Coolum Recon. Cut out 22, horsework 59, course 3 for a total of 84, with an 88.5 in the first round. Gives him a total score of 172.5 for David Reader and Coolum Recon. Next competitor is number 5, Cameron Jones and Jats Bar Blackjack. He comes into this round with an 89. He brings an 89 into the final. Standing by number 6, Mick Southern and Hostess.
Certainly great to see Cameron back here at Willinga with Jats Bar Blackjack. This horse is actually owned by Mark Jones. It's an 8-year-old gelding. He's a novice horse. He's had multiple wins in the Challenge World. He's ridden by the entire family, a very, very popular horse in the stables. And Cameron Jones, I know Mum and Dad will be back home watching this event on the live stream. They've been great ambassadors and supporters of camp drafting for many, many years. They self-promoted the Australian Camp Drafting magazine in early days. And, of course, watching here Cameron in our final.
Yes, Cameron also judged for us this week as well, Glenn. We thank him very much for his efforts there. And as you say, he brings an 89 into this round with Jats Bar Blackjack. Standing by, we have number 6, Mick Southern and Hostess. Standing by also 7, Evan Hiscock's Cartel. 8, Andrew Turvey's Cats and Roses. And 9, Hugh Miles' Summer Rain.
Well, we're back out on course on this occasion with Jats Bar Blackjack. This is the pressure that comes with camp drafting here in the finals. As you can understand, a little more added pressures than your regular draft that you see on a weekly basis. However, now that Cameron has got this steer out through the first and second peg, self-navigating towards that gate, it's a great angle to shoot and take a risk. He's done it and completes that course. Little disappointed, a little bit below Cameron's expectations in that camp early, and I'm sure that he'll be disappointed with that. But as far as horsework, course, he's got it all together.
So very shortly we'll have a score for Cameron Jones and Jats Bar Blackjack. He has a cutout score of 15.5, horsework 63, course 4 for an 82.5 with an 89 in the first round. That is a total of 171.5, 171.5 for Cameron Jones and Jats Bar Blackjack. We move down now to Surratt competitor number 6, Mick Southern and Hostess. He has a 90 in the first round. This will be very interesting. And standing by number 7, Evan Hiscock's Cartel. Then we'll have number 8, Andrew Turvey's Cats and Roses.
Yeah, well, this little horse, I saw an interview with Mick earlier in the week. He won the jackpot draft last weekend at the KPH Performance Horse event there in Tamworth, my hometown. It's actually owned by Clayton Dries, and he's brought her along nicely. But, boy, she has maintained that good form for the last 7 days. Mick has taken a risk. Went for that gate a little tight, and of course will possibly pay the penalties. Hostess has been one of the more favourable horses in the competition. Certainly Mick as far as he is concerned. There it is, Mick Southern from Surratt in Queensland, making the journey right down to Willinga to be a part of our Ringers Western Gold Buckle Championship event.
And we have a score for Mick Southern and Hostess of 21.5 for cutout, 54.5 for horsework, 4 for the course. That's a total of 80 with a 90 in the first round. That's a 2-round total of 170 for Mick Southern and Hostess. Number 7 on camp now, Evan Hiscock riding Cartel. He comes into this final with an 89 in the first round. Standing by number 8, Andrew Turvey's Cats and Roses. Number 9, Hugh Miles, Summer Rain. And number 10, Troy Palmer, Blue Tunes.
Well, this is the brigade of young men that I've watched in recent weeks, really starting to step it up. Evan Hiscock has been one of the high mark scorers in the competition. It was 89 coming through the semi-final here on yesterday's afternoon's performance. Makes his home in Collinsville, North Queensland. He's now 30 years of age. And the little horse that he's riding in this particular event, Cartel, is a 6-year-old gelding by that great horse, Acres Destiny. Stood for many, many years at the Tamarang Stud with Richard Bull there in Tamworth. And boy, his progeny is strong. Well, I said it, Leslie, in the upcoming, these young boys, these brigade of kids, I call them kids, they're only 30 years of age, but boy, oh boy, really starting to stand up and people take notice. We'll check the scores as they come through for Evan Hiscock and Cartel.
Well, there's no doubt, Glenn, he's been watching his mum and dad go around for years, so he's starting to match them as well. Evan Hiscock and Cartel have a cutout score of 22.5, horsework 63, course 4 for an 89.5. Together with his 89 in the first round gives him a grand total, which puts him in the lead, of 178.5 points. 178.5. We now watch Andrew Turvey riding Cats and Roses. He's competitor number 8.
Well, he's certainly done an amazing job this weekend. I know to his standards, be very, very disappointed. Andrew on that first peg makes his journey down from Wandoan. But ladies and gentlemen, he has been instrumental as a worker here this weekend, working with the Willinga team. I'd like you to put your hands together for Andrew Turvey, one of the great contestants. More importantly, works tiresomely for the Willinga team on the properties up there in Queensland.
So Andrew goes out with a 22 for cutout, along with his 89 in the first round. Is a grand total of 111 points for Andrew Turvey and Cats and Roses. Hugh Miles comes into camp again with at number 9 with Summer Rain. He also has a very healthy score. He comes in with a first round score of 90.5. Following Hugh, we'll have number 10, Troy Palmer's Blue Tunes, and 11, Catherine Hanksberger's Too Beneficial.
Well, Hugh Miles is one of the very fortunate competitors that backs up into our Ringers Western Final Championship round with 4 horses qualifying in the 32 horses that have come through to this division. Summer Rain with a 90.5 in this round is certainly a great platform to elevate him to the top. But Evan Hiscock is at the top of the castle at this stage with a 178.5. The young man from Collinsville, North Queensland, is our top-ranked contestant at this stage. Hugh Miles. Beautiful big Hereford steers that have been kindly brought to us by the Willinga team, utilised for this championship round here on Super Saturday. Comes but once a year.
Just a fun fact, while we're actually watching Hugh, I don't know if you realise, Glenn, but we have, and it's not a state of origin, this is not what it's about, but I just wanted to let you know we have 18 New South Wales competitors, 11 Queensland competitors, and 2 Victorians in this final, containing 32 riders. We started with 348 and we're down to our last 32.
Well, I tell you what, I'm pretty proud that I can count Hugh Miles as a New South Wales competitor, because he's just full course here this afternoon, and we're going to check the points as they come through. We have got for Hugh Miles, Summer Rain, 22 points for cutout, 62 points for horsework, 4 for course, and today we've got a score of 88 points, 90.5 yesterday. A brand new leader, 178.5 for Hugh Miles and Summer Rain.
Currently watching competitor number 10, Troy Palmer and Blue Tunes. Comes into this round with a 90.5. 90.5, one of the top scorers. Then we'll have competitor 11, Catherine Hinksberger, and 2 beneficials. Stand by number 12, Wyatt Young, Cantor Park, Kid You Not. 13, Hugh Miles Vintage Whiskey, and 14, Tim Hollis's Adios Envy.
Well, this little horse, EBS Blue Tunes, is an 11-year-old mare by I'm a Smooth Blue Cat out of EB's Eucalypt. It was the 2022 ABCRA Rookie Horse of the Year, and then in 2024 it took out the Open Horse of the Year competition. Same horse that Troy won the cutout competition on here last night as we go towards that gate. Well, ladies and gentlemen, certainly back-to-back runs, and full credit to our livestock team that worked tiresomely behind the scenes. And if you're here of a morning at 5:30, 5 o'clock, you'll see the team mustering the cattle pretty much in the dark, bringing them into the camp. And of course, hence the reason we see so much great camp drafting.
And we have a score through for Troy Palmer and Blue Tunes, cut out 15.5, horsework 63.5, and a course 4, total of 83 points, together with his 90.5, gives him a grand total of 173.5. 173.5 for Troy Palmer and Blue Tunes. We now watch competitor 11, Catherine Henksberger, and 2 Beneficial. Brings an 89.5 to this round, 89.5. Standing at the gate is number 12, Wyatt Young, Cantor Park, Kid You Not.
Well, this little horse called 2 Beneficial has been nominated by Catherine here this afternoon. It is a 7-year-old novice mare by Been Your Destiny out of Midsie 2.
And Catherine has a camp score of 17, together with her 89.5 is a 2-round total of 106.5. Grand total 106.5. We now watch competitor number 12, Wyatt Young, and Cantor Park, Kid You Not. He comes into this final with an 89.5 in his previous round, 89.5. And we have Hugh Miles up again at number 13 with Vintage Whiskey. Standby number 14, Tim Hollis's Adios Envy. 15, Dean Rogers, Eve and Con. And 16, Pete Comiskey and Time Checks.
Well, this young man we're about to see, very, very similar to Evan Hiscock, a young man in his late 20s. Wyatt Young from Tamworth has already had a very successful camp drafting career. He's been a previous winner of the nutrient class in Tamworth and the challenge winner. He's a former winner of the Sydney Royal Easter Show World Championship camp drafting competition. And the little horse that he's riding, Cantor Park, Kid You Not, is owned by the Elias family that are also the Dalbert Pastoral Company based there in Tamworth. He comes into this competition, first round score of 89.5. Of course, he would love nothing more to add to his list of achievements this year, the Willinga Gold Buckle Championship Draft. Wyatt Young from Tamworth, and once again, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for these young men. They are the stars of our sport. These guys in their late 20s, early 30s, really starting to embark on a very successful camp drafting career.
Oh, Glenn, we have a score through. Cut out 22, horsework 63, course 4. For an 89 with an 89.5 in the first round. That's a total of 178.5, 178.5. 13 on camp, Hugh Miles and Vintage Whiskey. He comes into this round with a 90.5. Standby 14, Tim Hollis and Adios Envy. Then we'll have 15, Dean Rogers and Even Con.
Yeah, well, just looking back and recapping on that previous run of Wyatt Young's, and Leslie, I said in the onset and the start of our competition today, you know, it's those young guys that are really starting to put some pressure on the guys like Pete Comiskey and Troy Palmer and the names that we've heard year in, year out, like Matt Holtz. But now we're starting to see keep rising to the top. People like Evan Hiscock, 178.5, Wyatt Young, 178.5. Both young men, both just under 30 years of age, but boy, oh boy, starting to get their hand on that trophy and, of course, look to that $100,000 winner's check.
So just a little change to the program, just to let you know, the team's draft will be next. We will be doing the medieval jousting at the completion of the team's draft. So just so you know, for all those people who have nominated a team in the team's draft, it will be our next competition, just keeping you up to speed with the program. So we move down now to competitor 13. Lucky 13, Hugh Miles with Vintage Whiskey. As I said, he comes into this round, he brings a 90.5. Standing by 14, Tim Hollis's Adios Envy. 15, Dean Rogers' Even Con. 16, Pete Comiskey's Time Checks. And 17, Ben Rossiter's KB Exclusive Oak.
Well, a few moments ago you were talking about the state of origin. Well, I can tell you we've got one Queenslander on 178.5, one New South Wales rider on 178.5, so it's going to be pretty close for our championship. But Hugh Miles, it may not be all over at this point of time for Hugh. He's really going to put it to this little horse. It's one of his very own. Pretty proud of this little horse that he rides, Vintage Whiskey. And I tell you, knowing Hugh like I do, should he be fortunate enough to win this competition, there could be plenty of Vintage Whiskey here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, one of our elite contestants in our sport of camp drafting, and he certainly puts a lot of pressure on our leaders. Well, let's check the numbers that become official. Ladies and gentlemen, Hugh Miles, 23 points for cutout, 64 points for horsework, 4 for course. Today we've got 91, 90.5 yesterday, 181 points, a brand new leader, 0.5, 81.5 for Hugh Miles and Vintage Whiskey.
So I just happen to know that this week Hugh Miles hasn't been very well. He's had a really bad flu, so I think whatever medication he's taking, some of these other riders might want to get a prescription for it the way he's been going. We now go down to number 14, Tim Hollis and Adios Envy. He comes into this round with an 88.5. Standing by number 15, Dean Rogers, Even Con, then stand by 16, Pete Comiskey's Time Checks.
Well, here's a horse that we like to watch because I've watched the bloodlines in this line of horses that Bruce and Kerry Hollis camped after for many years, and now we see Tim Hollis follow on in the Hollis family tradition. Beautiful black mare and Adios Envy. Makes his home on the outskirts of Tamworth, a little place called Currabubula. However, as luck may have it here in the final, for Tim Hollis, we are going to see a camp score only for Adios Envy.
So score for Tim Hollis and Adios Envy, competitor number 14, was a 21, added to his 88.5 in the first round, gives a grand total of 109.5, 109.5 for Tim Hollis and Adios Envy. Next competitor, 15, Dean Rogers and Even Con, brings an 88 into this final round, an 88. Next competitor, 16, Peter Comiskey and Time Checks.
Well, there's certainly a little bit of history with this horse, Even Con. This horse was actually purchased as a yearling at the first Willinga sale staged here. The horse has gone through to be an open mare. It is by Conman out of Acres Destiny Mare. So Even Con, a lot of history here in the Willinga district. Great to see her back, and his investment that Dean Rogers made many years ago is still here as proof that the Willinga bloodlines and their breeding program have certainly showing a great deal of talent in this competition. Dean Rogers comes into this final with a first round score of 88 points. We're getting towards the halfway mark. Our competitors on course at number 15 is Dean Rogers with Even Con. Looking to stay solid, of course, would love to even finish in the top 10. It's a very, very congested leaders board, but he has certainly produced what he needs to do so far. The horse that was born and raised in this part of the world, sold at Willinga, and I'm quite certain at this point of stage, Dean Rogers would be very, very happy with that investment he made when he bought this little horse, Even Con, as a yearling right here at this stadium.
And we have a score through for Dean Rogers and Even Con, cut out 22.5, horsework 62.5, and 4 for the course for a total of 89, with an 88 in the first round, 2-round total 177. That's a total score of 177 points for Dean Rogers and Even Con. Now we have competitor 16, Pete Comiskey with time checks. He brings a 90.5 into this round, a 90.5. Pete's been in this industry a very long time, Glenn. I can tell you that there's 3 generations in our family that have all been to a Pete Comiskey clinic.
Yeah, that's something pretty special, Leslie. And looking back at the statistics with Pete Comiskey, an amazing athlete, 23 times he has been the open rider of the ACA. Of course, that is the biggest camp drafting competition there in central Queensland. The horse that he's riding in this competition is Time Checks. Time Checks is by Time's Up stallion out of Rodan's Rony Checks. A brother to his previous winners that have won here. Of course, Peter has previously won this draft on 3 occasions, and 2 of the horses that he's won on are Brittany and Paris. So certainly the genetics and the bloodlines here at Willinga once again for Pete Comiskey.
So while we watch Pete, 17, Ben Rossiter will be on camp with KB Exclusive Oak, standing by 18, Andrew Turvey, Knives Destiny's Playgirl, 19, Evan Hiscock's Nix, 20 will be Troy Palmer and Binner Convoy, and 21, Hugh Miles Tilly.
Well, Pete certainly does it. He knows his way around the course here. The camp may have cost him a few points here. We'll wait for the judges' conversation to confirm that as they come through for Pete Comiskey.
Pete has a cutout of 15.5, horsework 60.5, course 4 for a total of 80 points. That's a total of, he had a 90.5 in the first round. There's a total of 170.5, 170.5 for Pete Comiskey and Time Checks, competitor number 16. Ben Rossiter is now, he's getting a fresh yard, and we're looking to him to ride KB Exclusive Oak. He has an 88.5 in the first round, and he comes into this final as number 17. Standing by will be 18, Andrew Turvey, Knives Destiny's Playgirl, and 19, Evan Hiscock's Nix.
Well, we're just at the halfway mark in the competition, Leslie, and we look back at the leaders and the scores at this point of time, and it's so refreshing to see Hugh Miles on top, Vintage Whiskey, 181.5. Recapping White Young, Contour Park Kid You Not, 178.5. As was Hugh Miles with Summer Rain, 178.5, and Evan Hiscock. So a 3-way tie for 2nd, 3rd and 4th at this stage in the competition. But right out on top as we speak, still Hugh Miles with Vintage Whiskey. There's still big names to go. We look down the list, boy, you look at some high scores yet to go. Evan Hiscock had 92 in the first round with Nix. He's not that far away. Other scores, David Andrews was 90. He is yet to run, as was Troy Palmer with Look Smart in Blue. John Templeton and, of course, Pete Comiskey's second nomination both had 91. So a long, long way, even though we are at the halfway mark at this point of time. Ben Rossiter. Their weekend has been successful thus far. He was 172.5 points on his first horse, Benediction. He was second out in this final. KB Exclusive Oak will be his second and final ride in this final of our competition. Andrew Turvey at number 18 with Knives Destiny Playgirl will be at the gate. Well, the selection process has taken place once again. Ben probably understands he's going to need more than an average of 172.5 to take the lead in this competition. However, his disappointment comes through in the final here this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause, please, for each of our finalists. They've done a magnificent job. We commend them for their horses, their presentation, preparation for this event. Today, it will be a camp score of 21 for Ben Rossiter, with his first round score of 88.5. That's a 109.5.
So our next competitor will be number 18, Andrew Turvey and Knives Destiny Girl. Andrew brings an 88.5 into this round, an 88.5. Standing by number 19, Evan Hiscock's Nix, 20, Troy Palmer's Binner Convoy, 21, Hugh Miles Tilly, 22, David Andrews Conspiracy, 23, Luke Cheney's Precious, 24, Hugh Miles Smart and Spicy. We're currently watching competitor 18, Andrew Turvey, and Knife's Destiny Girl, looking to add to his 88.5.
Well, he's also had a great run of success here this year. Of course, the horse he's riding on this occasion, Knife's Destiny Playgirl, 8-year-old mare by One More Playboy. It's owned by the Willinga Park team. It was the winner of the 2024 ABCRA National Champion Horse of the Year. Fortunately here today, Andrew Turvey will have a camp score of 22.5. 22.5 with an 88.5 in the first round. That's a total of 111. 111.
We move down now to competitor number 19, Evan Hiscock, once again. This time he rides Nix. He comes into this round with a 92. He brings a 92. Very healthy score into his final round. Evan Hiscock and Nix. Standby number 20, Troy Palmer, Binner Convoy, and also 21, Hugh Miles Tilly.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this will be a quiet moment as we sit back and watch this young man, 30 years of age, from Collinsville. Nix is a 16-year-old gelding by Iceman out of a little mare called Phoenix. Well, as we'll just wait and let the process unfold for young Evan Hiscock, and as one thing, camp drafting does have its great equalisers, that's for certain.
Did you notice the big smile, though? That's the spirit of camp drafters these days. Take
Well,
it as it comes, please.
Oh, exactly, and I tell you what, he's certainly going to take the best of his opportunity from this point of time. The first and second pegs, he has not wasted absolutely any time. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're in the grandstand, you could recognise how well this young man rides. Put your hands together for him, Evan Hiscock. 30 years of age, you remember his name, you saw him at Willinga this year. He was the highest score going into the final, and I'm certain you'll hear a lot more of him as the years unfold. Still, with a problem in this camp score of 17, 64.5 points for horsework, 4 for course, still a very respectable 85.5. Gives him 92 yesterday, 177.5. So he's not that far off second place. 1 point, and he would have been in second alone.
Next competitor, number 20, Troy Palmer and Binner Convoy. He brings an 88 into this round. Standing by 21, Hugh Miles Tilly, 22, David Andrews Conspiracy, 23, Luke Cheney's Precious, 24, Hugh Miles Smart and Spicy, 25, Troy Palmer's Look Smart in Blue, and 26, John Templeton and Diva. Score for Troy Palmer and Binner Convoy, cut out 22, horsework 57, course 3. That's an 82 with an 88 in the first round, grand total of 170, 170. 21 is next, Hugh Miles and Tilly. He's on his way already. He brings an 89.5 into this round. an 89.5. 22 at the gate, David Andrews, Conspiracy. Stand by 23, Luke Cheney's Precious.
Well, already in the driver's seat, but you watch, this is another one of his very own horses, this time Hugh riding Tilly. As we said moments ago, is leading the competition. However, as luck may have it, on Tilly, he will get a camp score only of 22. At an 89.5 in the first round, total here today of 111.5. 111.5 for Hugh Miles, riding Tilly.
We move down now to 22, David Andrews and Conspiracy. He brings a 90 into this round. Standing by 23, Luke Cheney's Precious. 24, Hugh Miles, Smart and Spicy. 25, Troy Palmer's Look Smart in Blue. 26, John Templeton's Diva. 27, Pete Comiskey with Roy. And 28 will be Wyatt Young and Nashville Nightman.
Well, once again, we see this name of Hazelwood Conman. Conspiracy by that incredible stallion and sire that Terry and Christine Hall have stood for many, many years. Out of a mare called Merlin Centerfold, consistent Nova mare, ridden by the entire family. David makes his home at Aberdeen in the Hunter Valley, right in the heart of the horse capital, south of Scone. Has been ultra consistent over the first couple of days of competition, but boy, drew tough in this round of the competition. David will take a camp score of 21.5. 21.5 with a 90 in the first round. 111.5. 111.5.
Well, we're getting very close to finding out the winner. We only have 10 horses left to run to complete the Willinga Park Ringers Western Gold Buckle Open Camp Draft for 2025. There's only 10 more horses left to run. So we have 23 on camp, Luke Cheney and Precious. He brings an 88 into this round. Stand by 24, Hugh Miles, Smart and Spicy.
Well, it was only a few years ago that we saw this young man, Luke Cheney, riding here in the finals of our Willinga Gold Cup as a junior competitor. But time flies. He's now 23 years of age, riding a horse called Precious. Well, he comes from a great bloodstock of camp drafting families. Of course, his dad had been a successful camp drafter. His aunties, of all the entire families, I know they'd be all watching on the live stream, cheering this young man on. He's the youngest of our finalists, 23 years of age. And I tell you what, with the blood that he has run through his veins, gives it all here this afternoon. Luke Cheney it was. Young man that makes his home at Barry. The horse was nominated by Dad Noel. Cheney, and of course scores will come through.
So we have a cutout of 22, horsework 63, course 4 for a total of 89, together with an 88 from the previous round. That is a grand total of 177. 177 for Luke Cheney and Precious, competitor 23. On camp we have competitor 24, Hugh Miles and Smart and Spicy. Hugh had a previous score of 89.5 on Smart and Spicy, 89.5. Next competitor will be 25, Troy Palmer, Look Smart in Blue. Then we'll have 26, John Templeton's Diva.
Well, Hugh Miles, once again, very, very little time. A very busy afternoon here this afternoon with 4 horses in this final. Well, as luck has played a big part, the final 2 horses that he has ridden have got a camp score on this occasion of 22.5. 22.5 with an 89.5 yesterday. Gives Smart and Spicy a total score of 112. 112.
Okay, and our judges have given the go-ahead now to competitor 25, Troy Palmer, Look Smart in Blue. He comes into this round with a 90. He brings a 90 into the final. Standing by then 26, John Templeton's Diva, and 27, Pete Comiskey, riding Roy.
Well, this little horse is ultra consistent because you know what? It's still a maiden. Placed 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the maiden shootout here yesterday. 10-year-old mare by I'm a Smooth Blue Cat. Looks Smart in Blue. And of course, this little horse is owned by Doug Jemison. Doug makes his home in Tamworth. As we've seen with our previous competitor, Hugh Miles, been very busy here in the finals of our Ringers Western Gold Buckle Championship round. We are watching Troy Palmer from Coolah in New South Wales. Has been a previous runner-up Gold Buckle champion here this weekend. Looking to build on his first round score of 90. Looking to the first and second peg, we get to tidy things up. Troy keeping things posted, looking to get a good angle at that gate, ladies and gentlemen. Put your hands together for him. Looks solid. Well, I tell you what, there is going to be one happy father-in-law here this weekend, I can assure you. Doug Jemison is Troy's father-in-law, and be very, very happy with his son's performance. Let's see how we go. Look Smart in blue, we have got for you a camp score of 22, 63 points for horsework, 4 for course. We've got 89 in this round, 90 yesterday, a total of 179. Now that has moved Troy up into second place in our competition, 179.
And John Templeton we watch, competitor 26, riding Diva. He brings a 91 into this round. Standing by then, 27, Pete Comiskey, and Roy, 28, Wyatt Young, Nashville, Roy L. Destiny.
Well, John was one of those many competitors through our Wednesday, Thursday long rounds, the 348 sections. Just rode through to the conditions, made sure that he got through the semi-final. But when he got to the semi-final on this little horse, it was all about pushing the buttons down. And this little horse is owned by Bo and the Emily Frame. Looking to get it done, and I believe so. We'll wait for a confirmation from our officials.
And we'll get a score very shortly. John used to be a Queenslander. He is no longer, but we won't hold that against him. So here we go. John Templeton and Diva. We have a cutout score of 21, horsework 62, course 4. Gives him an 87 in this round, a 91 previously. Gives him a total score of 178 points, 178. For John Templeton and Diva, competitor 26. 27, we watch Peter Comiskey with Roy. He brings a 91 into this round, standing by 28, Wyatt Young, Nashville Nightman.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, he needs no introduction in this arena. This is his time to shine. Nashville Roy L. Destiny, 10-year-old by Acres Destiny Stallion, comes into this competition with that score on the board for Pete Comiskey of 91 in that first round. Can he do it? Can he be a 4-times winner? Ladies and gentlemen, you've got to ride with him, one of our senior champions of Australian camp drafting, 26 times Australian ACA champion, Peter Comiskey. Well, you know what? He's not just a champion inside the arena, he's also a champion outside the arena. We check the scores as they come through. Pete Comiskey, Nashville Roy L. Destiny. Today we've got a camp score of 22, 63 points for horsework, 4 for course, 89 points, 91 yesterday, into second place today with a 180.
We move down now to 28, Wyatt Young and Nashville Nightman. He brings a previous score of 89 into this round, and unfortunately he will leave with a camp score of 23, and he has a total score of 112. 112, Wyatt Young and Nashville Nightman. Next competitor, 29, Matt Holtz and Con Ellen. He brings an 88 into this round, and standing by number 30, Sam Campbell, 31, Tim Hollers, and last but not least, 32, David Murphy and Clear Choice Kentucky. So there's only 4 horses left to run. It's still anyone's. It's still achievable for anyone who is still in the final. So it's still very exciting, Glenn.
Well, it is, and our next competitor, folks, he is another one of those guys that has won this title on 2 previous occasions, Matt Holtz. And Matt is another man that has come through from the very early days. I can recall him as a junior camp drafting competitor in the Hunter Valley. His mum and dad, passionate breeders of Australian stock horses and have been their entire lifetime. And it's good to see that Matt Holtz still flying the flag for the Holtz family. Comes into this round with an 88, Con Ellen. He's owned by the Kooyong Pastoral Company. Still a novice mare. Matt has got a little ground to make up in the competition, and these Hereford steers are proving a little tougher than anticipated early in the round. We are going to have a camp score for Matt and Con Ellen, a camp score of 23-23 with a first round score of 88-1-1-1.
Now we watch Sam Campbell with Banshee Conai. He comes in as competitor number 30. And his wife Sarah's not here, but I'm sure she's watching it from home to see the outcome. He brings to this round an 88.5 into the final. Stand by 31, Tim Hollis, 32, David Murphy.
Well, here's a young man that grew up in the Tamworth region. I know his mum and dad quite well, Paddy and Steve Campbell. His brother Tom and Sam both grew up in that Tamworth region. Now, of course, making and forging a name for himself in the camp drafting industry Australia-wide. This little horse that he is riding in this competition, Banshee Conai, winner of multiple open camp drafting competitions and securing a successful place here in the finals this afternoon.
So very shortly we will have a score for Sam Campbell and Banshee Conai. He has a cutout of 23, horsework 62, course 4 for an 89, together with his 88.5, gives a grand total of 177.5. 177.5. We move on to competitor 31, Tim Hollis and Dolcara Victoria. He has a 90 coming into the final, so watch this space.
Well, we saw Tim on his first horse, didn't have the success or enjoyment that he would have liked. Dolcara Victoria is an 11-year-old mare by Dr. Jekyll, out of one of their famous mares, Adius Valentine. A third-generation open mare that the Hollis family have had. And I think I mentioned in my opening that Bruce and Kerry Hollis and their breeding program, from as long as I care to remember, goes right back to the, I guess, the 80s when they started breeding stock horses for camp drafting and continue to do so. Tim and his lovely wife Amanda ensuring that the Hollis name is high up in the lights here at Willinga. Tim Hollis, it will be our second last competitor, comes into this final round with a 90-point score. Well, thus far, things are looking bright for the third-generation horse, the Hollis family. Ladies and gentlemen, what a round of camp drafting we witnessed here this afternoon. It was indeed the contestant Tim and Amanda Hollis's nomination, Dolcara Victoria, and the former Carabubula competitor comes in with a good score.
Yes, he scores through for Tim Hollis and Dolcara Victoria. There's a 21.5 for cutout, 64 for horsework, 4 for the course, for an 89.5. Together with the 90 in the first round, gives him a grand total of 179.5, 179.5. So this is our last competitor, competitor number 32, David Murphy, with Clear Choice Kentucky. He brings an 89 into this final.
Well, this little particular horse that David's riding, Clear Choice Kentucky, is owned by the Kirkby Stud Stock Horses. Makes his home in Talbot, Victoria. Final contestant cannot previously take him out of the event. He was 89 points in the semi-final round here on Friday afternoon. These Hereford steers have proved to be a real challenge as contestants make one small minor mistake and they'll be out of position. But boy, we're going to finish with a high, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness. Well, folks, it looks so good. How about a big round of applause for him, little horses working that cow? You can't say that horse is not doing his job, ladies and gentlemen. How about a big round of applause for him, David Murphy's Clear Choice Contiki. He says, we haven't got that gate yet. There's nowhere in the world you'll see the Australian stock horses, and that little horse is nominated by the Kirkby stud stock horses from Talbot. And boy, oh boy, it's good to see everyone up on their feet. The horse is okay. David is okay, and he was looking to nail that gate at the high speed. We will get a camp score. A camp score will come through when everyone gets their breath and takes a grip of things, folks. They're all okay. How about one more big round of applause, please, for David Murphy. Clear Choice Contiki are up on their feet and make that long walk back to the conditions.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're here with the 2025 Ringers Western Gold Buckle Championship.
Just a camp score there of 21, a two-round total of 100.
Well, yeah, it's pretty surreal. I didn't ever think this day was going to happen. We came close a few times, and I've been pipped at the post, so I was sweating it out at the end, I can tell you.
I did notice that there was a few people trying to congratulate you a little bit early, and you wouldn't take it. You were pushing them away. You're waiting to the end, but now really tell me, how does it feel? Because I know you come close. What's that emotion like?
Oh, big events like this is what we dream of, you know, as kids growing up and amongst your mates and, you know, and a win on a stage like this and in a prestigious event like that, you know, like this, there's so many events we have, you know, we always want to tick off and tick boxes, and this is, you know, by far, you know, the one I wanted to tick off. We don't know. You know, we don't know how long we'll be able to keep doing it for, so it's one of those ones we want to, you know, tick off the bucket list. But yeah, it's pretty surreal. It's pretty unreal.
Well, you've done it now. Tell us about the horse you're riding.
She's an Irish. She's a mare of Liz and Terry Smith's from Scone, and I only got her just before Cobar the other day. They dropped her off when I was coming home from some pre-works in Queensland, and they dropped her off, so I've only had her for about 3 weeks, and I don't mind her. She's all right.
Well, I bet you they don't mind you riding her either by the chance. I think you might get another shot. You took 5 back. I think your lowest 2 scores were 89.5. You were on 90s.5 on the other 3. It was incredible. But on those other horses, a couple of little things didn't go their way. You pulled up on the first peg, I think, on your first run, etc., etc. What's that like as far as a psychological point of view?
Oh, you just put it behind you and you just think about the next run. And I just wanted to try and put the biggest run I could together, and not just not have any caution. Just, you know, if it was going to come off, it was going to come off. You know, and it had to. With the scores that are in there, you couldn't be cautious. You had to just, it was do or die. So I was like, well, if we cut them off, we cut them off. But we won't die wondering, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that certainly showed in that maturity. You've been here a lot, like you said. You've come second a couple of times, and now you've been able to take away that championship. Is there anyone out there you'd like to thank?
Oh, there's so many people I'd like to thank. I've got a massive crew of clients that have supported me for a very long time. I had clients of Peter and Carolyn Doonan. They've been clients of mine for a long time. I had 3 horses for them in the final, and without them I couldn't be doing what I'm doing. And all the other clients I've got, you know, I'm very fortunate. I'm one of the very fortunate ones. I have a very good crew of clients that support me and have for a long time and stuck with me. And I have an amazing crew of workers. Not all of them are here. They're at home as well, and a very good and a beautiful partner at home too that's been looking after things for me as well while I'm away. So without everybody behind me, I couldn't do what I do, that's for sure. My mum and my sister and, you know, all their support, you know, this is for them too.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you mentioned your mum there, because I was going to just say you are a little bit of a mama's boy, as I've said before, and I know she'd be at home cheering you on. Last question before you get around, you know, these other riders and get ready for presentation. What's tonight look like?
Well, we packed as if we were going to head home to work horses tomorrow, so I think they've taken the keys out of the truck. We're going to stay. We'll probably won't get out of here tonight now. I don't think, maybe the morning.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the 2025 Ringers Western Gold Buckle Camp Draft Champion. Congratulations, Hugh. I know how hard he works, ladies and gentlemen. Let Hugh get back onto his horse. It's incredible. I was sort of vibing that there was going to be a runoff, and it looked like that a little bit at the start. There was a lot congested on the top of the leaderboard, but then it took to Hugh to come out and absolutely smack one around, and it was sensational camp drafting. I think it's what you call, champagne camp drafting. Everyone's getting around Huey now, and I think he's going to celebrate long into the night. We'll see if we can get a hold of anyone else here as we're running live. I'd love to have a quick word here to Troy Palmer, because I know how hard he's worked. He's been very sort of quiet behind the scenes. We haven't seen much of Troy. Troy, you didn't get it done this year, but you've had some absolutely cracking runs. You won the feature cutout last night, mate. How does it feel?
Yeah, it always good to come down to Willinga and have a crack. I've run second a couple of times. Huey's run second a couple of times, so we've been trying pretty hard to get the win, and big congratulations to Huey and his team. He's a great competitor. He's got a lot of good horses. He's very hard to beat, and as soon as he goes back to the cutting pens and leaves us camp drafters alone, the better, I reckon. But anyway, he's been a top competitor for a long time, and he's got a lot of good clients supporting him. And I think we're just very lucky to be able to compete at such a great venue down here at the Snow Families Complex at Willinga Park. Big credit to the Willinga team, Jeanette and Stephen Byron and all the team down here. The cattle were tremendous again. Big thank you to the judges, all the Joanna staff that come down here, the backyard boys. Hopefully we'll be all back here again next year, bigger and better, with a bit of luck.
Absolutely, Troy, and congratulations again. What's been a hell of a week for yourself. Those horses have been unbelievable. You've been one of the most consistent riders here. We're just going to have a little walk around. Everyone starts to vacate. We can hopefully see if we can get the man who's won 3 of them. Wasn't your day today. What do you have to say to your fellow competitors, and congratulate on Hugh Miles?
Yeah, congratulations, Huey. It's a huge win. He's been there a long time. I know a couple of occasions I've been there. He's been at the top of the line and not far away from it. So big congratulations. Thank you to the Snow family and to all the workers, everyone that's put in a hell of a big effort. It's been a fantastic week, and we look forward to coming back in 2026. No pressure, I think, Mr. Snow. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you there, Pete. And I could see Huey Miles looked awfully nervous when you stepped into the yard with Roy. He watched that run pretty closely, and I'm sure a lot of them were sort of watching back home as well. We're going to sneak around. We're getting really close to presentations. I'm going to come around a couple of these Tamworth guys here that have really represented our hometown. Have you guys got anything to add? Oh, he's backing away. Dave, Scone. We'll take Scone, Dave. You've had a hell of a run here. What's it been like camp drafting at Tamworth? At Willinga.
Yeah, it's been unreal, Dan. First time here, and just didn't go to plan in the final there. Anyway, but it's magic.
Well, you've been thereabouts the whole show, and you had a fair old crack. You weren't leaving anything to chance. We want to get along here to White, and then we'll get across to Timmy. Don't go anywhere. White, bit the same goes. You were leaving nothing, no stone unturned out there in the final. You were having a fair old crack. Things didn't go your way, but is there anything you'd like to say, and congratulating on Hugh Miles being the 2025 Willinga or Ringers Western Gold Buckle Camp Draft Champion?
Dan, it's just a privilege to be in the final. It's a mighty effort to everyone that was in the final. Congratulations, obviously, to Hugh and every other place getter. Yet again to the Snow family, Ringers Western, and everyone involved with the Gold Buckle Draft. It's just great to come back this year, and hopefully we can all come back next year.
Well said. We're going to get straight into presentation, so we're going to go back up to our commentators, and what a day of camp drafting it has been.
Okay, so we will give, or we are very aware who the winner is, but we will give the winners and the place getters this afternoon. First place, obviously, goes to Hugh Miles with Vintage Whiskey, with a total score of 181.5. Second place goes to Pete Comiskey with Roy. He has a total score of 180 points. Third place outright is to Tim Hollis with Dulcara Victoria with 179.5 points. Fourth place to Troy Palmer, Look Smart in Blue with 179 points. Tying fifth to seventh is Evan Hiscock's Cartel, Hugh Miles's Summer Rain, Wyatt Young's Cantor Park Kid You Not with a total of 178.5. Eighth place outright goes to John Templeton and Beau and Emily Frame. Their nomination, Diva with 178 points. Sam Campbell and Evan Hiscock tie for 9th and 10th. Sam with Banshee Convoy and Evan with Nix with 177.5. And I can tell you another fact here, Peter Comiskey has taken out the average. So congratulations there to Pete. You have won overall the average for this particular draft. So I'm sure we would like to do some presentations, if we could have people to centre ring to do those presentations. And also just another reminder that we'll go straight on with the teams draft at the completion of the presentations. We'll have the teams draft.
Okay, if we could have those top 10 competitors, please, to make their way into the arena. Hugh Miles with Vintage Whiskey, Pete Comiskey, Nashvale Roy El Destiny, Tim Hollis with Dulcara Victoria, Troy Palmer fourth with Luke Smart in Blue, fifth and sixth and seventh Evan Hiscock with Cartel, Hugh Miles with Summer Rain and Wyatt Young with Cantor Park Kid You Not. And number 8 is John Templeton with Diva. Sam Campbell and Evan Hiscock wrap up 9th and 10th with Banshee Convoy and Evan Hiscock with Nix. Those competitors could please come in and line up, of course, in our presentation area, but we do require Hugh Miles, Pete Comiskey, Tim Hollis, Troy Palmer, Evan Hiscock, Hugh Miles' second nomination, Wyatt Young, John Templeton, Sam Campbell and Evan Hiscock, please. If all those guys could make their way into the arena, we are waiting on everybody for that official presentation. Well, if we could have those competitors to come forward, please. We need those contestants out here in the main arena for that presentation. Hugh Miles, Pete Comiskey, Tim Hollis, Troy Palmer, Evan Hiscock, Hugh Miles, Wyatt Young, John Templeton, Sam Campbell and Evan Hiscock. Please, guys, if you can make your way to the presentation area as soon as you possibly can, we would like that presentation to get underway. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to start our official presentation here this afternoon, and we're going to start and work our way back from 10th through to 1st. And a very special thanks to Mr. John Bergen from the Rawhide Saddlery, and he has also kindly donated reins to each of our top 10 finalists. So we in 9th and 10th we have Evan Hiscock with Nix and Sam Campbell with Bawley Point. 8th is John Templeton. 5, 6 and 7 is Evan Hiscock with Cartel, Hugh Miles with Summer Rain, and Wyatt Young with Cantor Park, Kid You Not. 4th is Troy Palmer. 3rd is Tim Hollis. 2nd is Pete, and our winner, of course, Hugh Miles. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll start from 10th place in the competition. It'll be Evan Hiscock's nomination next. If we could have our ribbon presenters and our reins to be presented, we'll start from this end and work our way to the top. Ladies and gentlemen, as we make that presentation here today, a very special thanks to Ringers Western, of course, making that a presentation here with us this weekend. We thank them continuously for their longevity and support. The 4th year that Ringers Western have been our partners here at the Willinga Park Gold Buckle Championship competition. In 9th and 10th place, we have a tie between Evan Hiscock and Sam Campbell. So just repeating that, we had Evan Hiscock, Sam Campbell, a tie for 9th and 10th with a score of 177.5. Ben Shea Con-I and Evan Hiscock with Nix. And in 8th place, as that presentation is taking place, this will be the Beau and Emily Frame nomination. This is Diva, and Diva is ridden here this afternoon by John Templeton. And we have a three-way tie for 5th, 6th and 7th. In 5th, 6th and 7th, we have Evan Hiscock with Cartel, Hugh Miles as Summer Rain, and the Dalbar Pastoral Company, Wyatt Young, Cantor Park, Kid You Not. Ladies and gentlemen, our 4th place in the competition. The ribbon's being placed on as we speak. This is Doug Jamison's nomination, Looks Smart in Blue, and ridden here today by Troy Palmer for a total score of 179 points. Once again, in 3rd place, Tim and Amanda Hollis's nomination, Dalcara Victoria, ridden by Tim Hollis today for a score of 179.5 points. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like special commiserations to our runner-up champions. Had a very, very good week, and of course we thank him for being back here and a part of it. In 2nd, and a reserve champion for 2025 was Pete Comiskey. Big round of applause for Pete, ladies and gentlemen, with Nashville Roy L. Destiny. But if we could please to come forward. Ladies and gentlemen, this award but comes once a year with a $100,000 winner check. Our champion of the Willinga Park Ringers Western Gold Buckle Championship is Hugh Miles riding Vintage Whiskey. $100,000. Big round of applause for him, ladies and gentlemen. He is, without any doubt, our star of the competition, and we thank Annette Snow for making that presentation at the $100,000 winner's check. We'll just get a few words. I know Hugh's already spoken a lot.
Thanks to everyone. Yeah, it's like I said earlier, it's a dream come true. This is what we live for, moments like this, and we're very fortunate to have had Terry with the vision he had to do what he's done for us, and you know, he really set the mark for the whole industry years ago when he had this vision, and yeah, we're just very fortunate that we had him, and we only had him for a short time, but we're very fortunate, and we're still reaping the rewards of what he did for us. So without him, none of us would be here today, and I think and we're very fortunate. Thank you, Jeanette, for continuing to run everything for us. To all the other competitors, yeah, thanks very much. You know, it was a tough competition right to the end, and the cattle were great. Thank you very much to the Willinga, to the staff and the guys in the backyards. Last 4 days they've been, you know, there the whole time through rain, hail and shine. And to all the guys that work for me, thank you very much again. And to all my sponsors and clients, thank you very much. And yeah, we'll see you all at the bar.
And ladies and gentlemen, the word on the street here at Willinga is vintage whiskey. Let's hope we get to see plenty of it. We've got some more awards to be presented. We'll just let it. We have got a few more awards to be presented just yet. Just hold that for a minute. No, we've got a few more awards for Pete and everybody else. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special award. It's for the AQH highest placed horse. And of course, this is being presented by Ricky Glenn, representing the AQHA. And that award also goes to Hugh Miles with vintage whiskey. Hugh, you got some more buckles. Huey, some more buckles coming forward. You might, from the AQHA, being presented by Ricky Glenn. Thanks very much, Rick. And ladies and gentlemen, the next award is that we present here this afternoon is on behalf of John Bergen from the Ruhide Saddlery. It's for the overall aggregate champion of this competition, the scores in the progressive rounds. And it goes to Pete Comiskey with Roy, and a beautiful Ruhide Saddlery to be presented on behalf of John Bergen. John has been an outstanding supporter of campdrafting and cutting here in Australia. He is originally from Australia, resides with his business and company in the United States. He flies back to Australia for this event here at Willinga and includes the NCHA futurity. But John Bergman, a lifetime friend and a great supporter of our Willinga Gold Buckle Championship.
I'd just like to thank this man's been doing this since right from the start. We appreciate everything he's doing. He's come and make it a big trip back to from the States to the weekend, and yeah, we appreciate it all, mate. Win the average, it's yeah, big honour. Thank you very much, mate, for everything you do.
You're welcome.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the ceremonies are winding down here this afternoon. We have got some quite a few photos to be taken. Of course, don't forget, we would like you to stay a while. We've got the team's draft coming up next. We've got some special entertainment, of course, as the evening unfolds. And then the nighttime entertainment will be something special on the big stage here this afternoon. And, of course, we invite each and every one of you to enjoy the hospitalities and enjoy the celebrations with Hugh Miles winning that $100,000 winner check, something that comes once a year. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of happy, smiling faces. None more than Hugh Miles here this weekend. Pete Comiskey, hang on to your horses. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that does wind down the formalities here of this Ringers Western Gold Buckle Championship for 2025. Congratulations to all of our winners and place getters. A very, very special thanks to our sponsors and partners that have once again made this extremely possible. And of course, we look forward to you staying with us. We've got the teams draft coming up very, very shortly. That's always a lot of fun as we wind down this afternoon and get ready for the nighttime entertainment. On stage, the party begins, and the party begins with a lot of vintage whiskey courtesy of Hugh Miles. Well, ladies and gentlemen, how about a big round of applause for him? Hugh Miles, riding vintage whiskey, is our champion this year. Well, here they come, ladies and gentlemen. Hugh Miles, winner of the $100,000 Ringers Western here at Willinga for 2025. An absolutely delighted champion, and so are each and every one of our finalists and competitors that made it back for the top 10 award-winning celebrations. Well, ladies and gentlemen, come on, give him one more big round of applause. Salute the champion, $100,000, Hugh Miles from Tamworth, New South Wales. A deserved champion. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've just had confirmation that our team's draft will be on in around about 15 minutes. So if you'd like to stretch your legs, grab a quick bite to eat, and we will be back with the team's drafting competition to celebrate the festivities, have a little fun here on Super Saturday afternoon at Willinga. And, of course, we will be back in around about 15 minutes. So we want, if there is any late nominations for the team's draft, we're more than happy to take them. Talk to Lauren down, of course, at the Secretary's office, but we will take some late team entries should there be any further additional teams. It's always a lot of fun. It's against the clock. 3 competitors, 3 steers in the camp, and it's the fastest team to get their steers right through the entire course and through the gate on time.